It has been about 3 years since I really put a lot of work into a video on this channel. Really, it's been around 2 years since I uploaded it all. Um, and the last time that I really delved into a video was my review of The Last Airbender, the live action movie. Famously beloved by fans of the original television show on Nickelodeon. And so I figured that there would be no better way than to delve back into the world of content creation on YouTube than to really just go back to what has worked in the past. So, as of course many of you watching know, hopefully, um, in 2020, The Last Airbender television show was put back on Netflix. And it absolutely blew up. All of us were, of course, very bored in the pandemic and needed the hope and joy that the show brought. And it is my understanding, at least, without really looking into it at all, that did prompt Netflix to develop this live action show. So it has been three and a half years that people have been waiting for the show, and I have to admit, my expectations have been low. They were low before Mike and Brian, the original creators, left the production of the show. Um, and full disclosure, I have already seen it once, but I thought, what better way to get back into content creation than to review this show, because I have some thoughts on it. I will probably be delving into spoilers for the entire Netflix series, and of course the original show as well. But given that I've already seen the entire series throughout, if you haven't seen it, I don't recommend watching now, but please come back after you're done. I'm going to be honest with the show. There are parts of it that I actually do like. I think I was really critical of the live action movie. There are parts of the show that I think work and do enhance the source material. Not frequently in the first 4 episodes. Spoiler alert. Um, but we're gonna give it a go. We're gonna give it a go. I'm gonna try not to be super nitpicky about all the specific little things that make it wrong. I don't want it to be the same as the source material, right? But I think that if you're going to make like big changes, they should be better changes. And there are some points where the show struggles with that, in my opinion. So I suppose without further ado, we'll get into it. Please like the video if you like the video, comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, and subscribe. And if you guys like this, I'll probably keep going with the rest of the series. So let's get into it. So goofy. So I understand why they do this. I want to point this out ahead of time. It's not necessarily a criticism, but like some of the most intense bend displays of bending that happen in this show happen in the darkness, because of course it's like a lot easier to edit CGI, but it's just like it's a little bit funny throughout the entire show that like whenever they want to do something that has like a ton of bending, or in this example, like they want to open the show showing you what they're capable of, like it's just really dark. um yeah, I guess I just want to point that out. Keep an eye on it because it happens a lot.
An earthbender.
What gave that away?
Hurry!
That's fucking cool. I'm sorry. That's cool. That's cool. That looks cool. They did a good job with that particular move.
Your battle plans are already on their way to the Earth Kingdom.
Good. That means all eyes will be on the Earth Kingdom. All eyes but ours.
A couple things that I want to point out here. First of all, we are about 3 minutes in. This sequence goes on for 5 minutes. Okay, it looks like. I like this. I don't hate it, I should say. However, I've seen this criticism, and I agree with it, even though I don't hate this opening sequence. The departure away from some of the source material to focus on characters like this earthbending spy that we never see again, it takes up, as I said, 5 minutes of runtime, which this show is 8 episodes long. Each episode is about an hour, right? Not terrible. But when they do it repeatedly over the course of this first season, it really does take away from a lot of the core character development moments for our main characters. And we'll get into that. I do just want to point it out now. Like, I like this, but I think it is part of a larger problem that this show has, where like they don't develop Aang, Katara, and Sokka as characters nearly as much as like they dedicate time to these people that we don't ever see again. So, take that as you will.
We'll be prepared for your attack.
When your
He still
king
doesn't get it,
receives those
which I love.
plans, he will redirect his forces to your borders and rally the support of the other nations.
No, we know. The
Water
audience,
tribes
understood.
and air nomads and
You wanted us to know.
Yeah. Now he's getting it. They sent their best and
We're not
brightest.
the real target.
Like, we, the audience, could
my
understand it.
sights are set higher.
Literally. They are
Much
literally, like geographically higher. Maybe you didn't get it. They're set high because they're on the mountain. The air temples are high, generally. They're up there.
Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
Yeah, so let's get it out of the way. Kyoshi. Again, as I mentioned in the intro, the premise of this show was they started working on it, as far as like I can tell. They announced it in 2020, right? The Kyoshi novels had just come out. TikTok was raving about Kyoshi all the time. Kyoshi kind of subs in for Roku in a lot of this first season, and it really does just feel like they did that because they know how popular Kyoshi is as a character, which is like, oh, it got me going a little. Don't like that. Don't care for that. Love Kyoshi, but it like it's like pretty obvious fan service in my mind.
When one avatar dies, their spirit is reborn into a new body in an eternal cycle. Since the death of the last avatar, the new incarnation has yet to emerge.
Yeah, so in place of the conflict with the Fire Nation really being the central part of the introduction in the source material, they've added like a ton of lore about the Avatar, and I've seen somebody else criticize this, and I agree, so I won't go into it too much. But just like, the show generally has a problem with showing and not telling. They love to expose at us, and like it's so much more interesting to see Aang discover the lore of being the Avatar and the Avatar state and the incarnations and all that stuff. Like after we've begun to care about them as characters, like we don't need all this right off the bat. Again, we're 5 minutes in, so we like show it to us later. You don't need it to do it now. Southern Air Temple is cool. I think it's fine.
Aang!
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple things I'm like not stoked about in this opening sequence. The show has a ton of just background noise with like extras being like, wow, whoa, they're here, stuff like that throughout the entire thing. It happens a lot. This is not the only time in the show that this happens, where it's just like the extras are just being extra. Also, do airbenders not just fly in this version? Like, everyone's looking up like this is not a common occurrence. You all can do this. It's canon. Anybody that's dead that could do this, it's not that impressive. He's just floating down really slowly, actually. It's kind of clunky. It looks a little strange.
You may be more advanced than the others, but there's much you have to learn. And believe it or not, there may come a day when you wish you'd spent more time with your teachers.
Because they're all gonna die. Because they're all gonna die, Aang. You might wish you had spent more time with us when we're all dead.
There's still a lot of work to be done before the air nomads from the other temples arrive.
How many are coming?
We didn't have a lot of time. There's much to be done, but no time at all before they all show up.
All of them.
I like this. I like this. I don't hate that they're all gathered at the Southern Air Temple for the Comet Festival. Yeah, I think this is a change that is fine from the source material. They divert away from that, and that's okay with me.
The water tribes are already sending the warriors to aid the earthbenders, and we need to help them.
That guy looks like my friend Anson. This guy right here. That's not important for you to know as a viewer, but it is important to me. I thought you'd like to know that.
Aang, you have always been special. The most talented airbender I have ever known.
I never asked to be special.
But you are.
Something that I've said to others when talking about the show already is that there are some moments in this script that just sort of seem like this happened in the source material, so we have to just throw it in. And there are more egregious examples later on. But, like, this is a great moment of, like, I never asked to be special. It's like, why is he saying that? Because he says it in season 1 of the Last Airbender cartoon? Like, there's no real reason for him to be saying that. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a weird spot to put that in. And it happened. There are a couple of, like, examples of, like, we're doing this because we have to, because it's in the show, instead of developing his character to, like, show why he feels that way. I don't know. Maybe this isn't the most egregious example, but it is something that does bug me a little bit, especially in the first few episodes.
Why do I have to be different? Can't I just keep pretending I'm your friend?
You are my friend. You will always be my friend.
Hey, Abba. Couldn't sleep either, huh?
Soak this up while you can. It's basically the only time this season that Appa interacts with any other character in a way that makes him seem like a character like he does in the original.
He said, I need to remember who I am. But I know who I am. I like to play
Did he say
airball,
that?
eat banana cakes, and goof off with my friends. That's who I am.
Just show us that, though. Like, they want to tell you these things about Aang instead of showing you them. So he has this, like, fucking Shakespearean-style soliloquy where he stares out, and he doesn't, like, rise to any emotion. They're just going on a walk.
You're right. Just needs to go over things that always make more sense. At least for now.
Yeah. So, I'll say it. That sucks. For the rest of season 1, people are constantly angry at Aang for leaving, for abandoning his responsibility, which just doesn't happen. He doesn't run away because he doesn't want to be the Avatar. He doesn't run away at all. He, like, is planning on going for a walk, and then he just, like, gets stuck. Right? He gets stuck in the iceberg completely by accident, without, like, trying to abandon his responsibility in a similar way to the source material. Like, there was no reason to change that. In the original show, Aang is driven to run away because these choices are being made out of his control. They're going to separate him from Gyatso. He doesn't want the responsibility, and he runs away. And it has consequences that directly impact the war. And it is his fault. It's not his fault in the Netflix version. Not nearly as much. Yeah, so something that I want to point out here, throughout the rest of the show, we see like plenty of firebending. The firebending in this fight in particular does not seem comet enhanced. It doesn't seem like it's any stronger than the firebending that we see throughout the rest of season 1. Like, they don't do anything to show you how strong firebending is under this comet. Like, what really allowed them to do this mass genocide. And at first, when I first watched the show, I was like, oh, they can fly in the comet. Like, that's a good example. But then, like, other firebenders, I think, fly. Like, there's at least one sequence where I'm like, is Zuko kind of flying here? So, the point is, they don't really, like, do a lot to show you how strong firebending is in comparison to the firebending we see in later episodes.
It's getting kind of rough, Papa.
Oh, is it?
We should head back home.
Is it getting kind of rough? What was it? Were you just waiting for the lightning on your little stroll to clear your head? In the original show, it's like, yeah, all right, I could see how Aang would have gotten caught out in the storm. Like, he's trying to run away. He has a destination. Aang, in this version, is, like, going for a walk to, like, clear his head. Just, like, he's just dumb in this one. It's silly. It's funny. It's funny, and they don't want it to be, but it is. Why? Why is Sozin just knocking? Yes. The firebenders have come and burnt most of the air nomads alive. They are not being very polite. They have shown they have the strength to destroy this door. And then they come, they're like, hello. We're friends. Don't worry, open up. Like, why did they knock if they were just gonna do that? Who did the firebending there? If these two guys came in with just, like, spears, presumably they can't firebend. Who burnt down that door?
You may have prevailed on another night. But not when we have the power of the comet.
Yeah, so when I first saw that Gyatso and Sozin were going to fight in the trailer, I was hyped. I was so in. Because for years, people have talked about how Gyatso absolutely bodies dozens of firebenders. There are so many firebenders surrounded by Gyatso's body in the original show, right? So I think like, it was cool, the idea that Gyatso was going to take out a bunch of firebenders ahead of time, and then Sozin would come in and finally be like the only one who could stop him, even under the comet. And I think other people will be too, disappointed with this fight. Because it's really not one. Gyatso doesn't do anything. And it is a bummer. I think that would have been one of the things that this show could have done that the original couldn't. And it would have been better. Or at least added to the story. And they just don't do that. They took like 20 minutes of runtime so far and don't even do that. I was so bummed the first time I saw it. Fun fact, spoiler alert, that's kind of the only time that we get to see Aang waterbend in Season 1, Book 1, Water. Yeah. We'll get into it later.
All right, listen up. We've been manning the wall in 3-hour shifts, but it seems some of you can't be trusted to stay at your posts. So from now on, 2 people at all times, meaning twice as many shifts.
So as far as first lines go, I think Sokka's is probably the best out of any of the characters. I think it really encapsulates him as a character. And I'll say it now, Ian Ousley, I think is how you say his name, the guy who's playing Sokka, is doing his best with what the writers have given him. So props to Ian for his depiction of this beloved character that I think like all eyes were kind of on him for this. Jack DeSena, I think, is an incredibly hard act to follow, and he's doing his goddamn best. So good for him.
Just proves if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself.
Yeah, they just don't appreciate your incredible leadership skills.
That's right, they don't realize it. Very funny.
Yeah, I like this first interaction between Katara and Sokka. It's good.
You were waterbending again, weren't you?
Nitpicky. Very nitpicky here. I know it. This is like the only time in the entire first season. There are a lot of boats, a lot of canoes, in fact, in the first season of Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this is like the only time where it like makes sense the positions they're sitting in. For like a lot of the rest of the show, the person paddling is in the front, which is, if only one person's gonna be paddling, not usually how you would canoe. Yeah, you're so nitpicky. Yeah. I'm a big canoe fanatic. What can I say?
Katara?
I kind of like that Katara seems to be, at first, only capable of these, like, bigger feats of waterbending. Like, it's the smaller stuff she struggles with. It's kind of like Kyoshi in the novels. Although, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that they get rid of this, like, character moment where it's her and Sokka arguing that causes her to release Aang from the ice sphere. And he stood on business! Things posted up in the iceberg. What's that? Oh, you're expecting like a nice little character moment here? You're expecting like a nice interaction between Sokka and Katara and Aang to start out their relationship? I got bad news.
What part of that makes you think, great, let's bring him home?
Sokka, he's
I don't know why they do this. Like, they keep Aang asleep, which is what happened in the movies. I don't know why they would keep that. And then, instead of Sokka being, like, skeptical of Aang as, like, a firebender spy, they're just like, let's leave him out here to die. Like, just being, like, a ruthless, like, monster is not great. Like, they took out the sexism, but they'll let this kid die in the cold. I don't know why they did that.
You take a look.
Oh, there she is, my favorite character, Gran. I don't like Gran in Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender. And we're gonna get into it. It would have been like a cool moment for Katara to be like, a bender? He could teach me how to waterbend, and like stays by his side. Like, at least she's with him when he wakes up. Like, if they wanted to get rid of the romantic subplot in the first season because of the age difference between the actors, like, fine. But like, I don't know. There could have been something there.
Perhaps it's time to consider that the throne isn't everything.
It may not have been for you.
That's fine writing, by the way. Like, there are like subtle ways to tell the audience things instead of screaming it at us like this show does quite often. This is another, everybody just shouting. Appa looks better. Appa looks way better in this version than in the movie. If you recall, he was quite cursed before.
Water, earth, fire, air.
That's right. That's right. This show will let anybody except for Katara do the intro. Kyoshi's got it. Gran's got it. They might let Ozai do it in the future. Who's to say? I hate Gran.
Everyone in the village knows this story.
It does. The show does like these like Dutch angles randomly all the time, and sometimes it makes sense. Like they do it in the beginning with the comet, But like like that shot on Grand Grand is so weird.
In that eye.
Like here, why?
The last time that the great comet was seen in the sky was 100 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So Grand Grand's fucking ruthless. In front of all these people, Grand Grand recites this story and then it's like, yeah, little boy, your friends are all dead. They're gone. If they weren't killed, they died of old age. I hate Grand Grand.
Is there something you want to say, Lieutenant G?
No, sir.
Lieutenant G on top! What? Big Lieutenant G guy over here. I'm a big fan of Lieutenant G. You'll see why. You'll see.
The monks told me bending is about energy and balance. By feeling the energy around you, you can find balance. By finding balance, you can feel the energy.
There's a couple things there that I don't like. One, that line makes no fucking sense. Like, what does that even mean? I feel like small thing. It just like there's an opportunity there to really grow and develop Aang and Katara's relationship. And be like, no, like being a bender is part of who you are. Like it's your culture, and like really encourage her instead of like saying some weird proverbial thing that the writers are like, we don't really know what this means, but it sounds wise. And then that inspires Katara to like properly bend for the first time. Like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I don't understand. Why are they here? After all this time, what could they possibly want?
Him.
Grand alert! She's so back.
You are the Avatar.
So she just outs him. She just outs him in front of everyone. Grand sucks. I hate Grand.
When the world needed the Avatar the most, he vanished. Because he's a coward. He ran and people died.
It's like that. Like that's the thing is he didn't run. He didn't run. Damn. The Fire Nation uniforms are a little heavier than they used to be.
I'm the one you're looking for.
Get him.
Wait!
That is count 2 in live action adaptations where Katara does like a funny little shuffle and then is just like kind of like held back or pushed around pretty easily.
Are you an airbender, boy?
Leave him alone!
That's the second time. And it's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
No one has ever fought for me before.
I just hate this line. And it's for a couple reasons. Like, one, I think it's, like, really disrespectful to Aang's relationship with Gyatso, who, like, did fight for him. But also, it just comes out of nowhere. Like, it's like... I just don't understand it. And again, it just, like, feels like we need Aang to say something here.
No. Make sure to reinforce the braces on the gate. And don't fall behind on drills. I saw some real sloppiness out there today.
Drills?
And don't let the young guns push you around. You gotta let them know who's in charge. That's right. You're in charge.
Love this. Love this. Ian, you're doing a great job, man. Some clunky writing in this show, but you understand Sokka as a character, and that is all we could have asked for from you.
Maybe draft off their wake?
Or we could go another way.
You're not serious. Katara, no. There's no way you're getting me on that.
That's fun. It's no of course, it's no substitute for the original interaction with like Sokka denying that Appa can fly and then remembering he says yip yip and like, but it's fun. It's fun. It's like a cute little way to still like sort of do that, given the changes that they made in this episode. But it doesn't beat the original.
You know, the firebenders aren't gonna give up. They're gonna keep coming after you.
Which means we can't go home. It would put everyone in danger.
So where do we go?
So it doesn't really make sense for them to come here, right? Aang has already been told by fucking Gran that the Airbenders are dead. Again, it just feels like another, like, the show knows that they have to hit this story beat where Aang finds Gyatso's body and he goes into the Avatar state. It just, like, doesn't really make sense that they come here. There's no reason for it other than it happens in the original, so we have to go here.
You are my friend. You will always be my friend.
Yeah, so instead of actually, like, developing Aang and Katara's friendship to the point where she can calm him down and out of the Avatar state, the show used 20 minutes to show us the events of the storm, and some other backstory stuff, which, again, I don't hate, but then they didn't use the remaining 40 minutes to, like, establish the relationship of these characters enough, so Gyatso's memories calm Aang out of the Avatar state. Like, he basically does it on its own. It's very strange.
The monks are gone and I'm all alone.
You know, the thing about losing everything is that that's when you learn how strong you really are.
It's kind of not the thing to say to a grieving person. He's like, everyone I loved is dead. And you're stronger for it. Yeah, he's like not at all comforted by that.
But the one thing I do know is I'm the Avatar. And this is just the beginning.
Bit of a meta line to close us out there. So that was Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender episode 1, Aang. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments. I've seen, like, a lot of people being really critical of the show, especially the first episode. I feel like the first episode is clunky. Like, there are a lot of things that happen in the next couple episodes. This is not the worst episode by far. Certainly not the best. But if you want to see more of these reactions, if you want me to, like, get back into this, let me know. I have a lot of thoughts. I think this will probably be the longest episode if we continue to do it, because I think I got a lot of, like, the early stuff out of the way here. There are things that I like about future episodes, particularly in the later half of the season, that I'd love to talk about. But yeah, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment, please, if you liked what you saw, and let me know your thoughts. So thanks very much, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye.